Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Welcome back to the Bhagavad Gita discussion. We are yet to begin the seventh chapter based on Sarartha Varshini Tika of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and the sub-commentary to Sarartha Varshini by Bhaktivinoda Thakur called as the Rasik Ranjan. Right now, we have been studying the overviews of chapters 1 to 6, and yesterday we began with the perspective of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on the Gita. His perspective is quite different. The Mangalacharan verses we saw, and how he sees the Gita based on the sweetness and the mercy of the Lord, you know, and his commentary is very, very unique. And we saw that, from the Gaudiya, he's a Rasik Acharya. So for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, he has specifically written this commentary as to the exchange of emotions of rasa, of Sakya ras, which is happening between Krishna and Arjuna. Although at a higher level, there is, at a particular level, you can say, not a higher level is rasa. At a particular level, there's a philosophical dialogue which is happening on the battlefield, but internally they are exchanging also a very deep rasa, and Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is bringing out that rasa also, but the philosophy also is quite deep, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, what he gives. So we saw this yesterday, and then we saw these types of bhakti, Guni Bhukta Bhakti, which is for 6 chapters, then the Pradhani Bhuta, which is there in the middle 6 chapters, and the Kevala Bhakti also, and how one attains liberation by Jnana Yoga is, elaborated in the 13 to 18 chapters. Then we began with, the sign and erection yoga. In that we discussed 9 verses. So I will continue from the 10th verse. I will not go into this because yesterday we have given quite a brief understanding. So we are on the 10th verse. So I'll just start with the 10th verse now. As I had mentioned, Raja Vachanam Abravit. Duryodhan, seeing the army, starts out of his fear, he approaches Dronacharya, and he starts expressing his fears. And then he feels that, oh, if I start, revealing my fears, then my army will also, become demoralized. So then he starts speaking about his army, and there also because he has Rajniti, he commits blunder. We saw that, Karna, he takes the name of Karna, and then Kripa, he glorifies him as Samitinjaya, although he was not a great, formidable warrior, because he had no knowledge of celestial weapons. And then Madarte Tekta Jivita, he says. They have already given up their lives. So he predicts the future of the battle. And then now he does a comparison. This is a very beautiful verse, and this brings out the uniqueness of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, and that's why yesterday I did not take it. So let's begin with this verse from today. Aparyaptam tadasmakam bhalam bhishmabhirakshitam paryaptam tva idam etesham bhalam bhima abhirakshitam. Asmakam balam, our army, strength. Balam means strength. Our asmakam I mentioned is ours, Aham, avam, asmakam. It is plural, bahuvachan it is. Protected by Bhishma, Duryodhana is speaking about our army, which is protected by Bhishma. Tad Bhishma abhirakshitam is inadequate. Interesting. It's only Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur who translates aparyaptam as, inadequate. You I brought it out. Whereas the another meaning is immeasurable, because, if you see from quantity point of view, the Kauravas had 11 Akshoni Senas and the Pandavas had only 7, total 18. So our strength, aparyaptam, both Prabhupada, Baldev Vidyabhushan, Madhvacharya, Ramacharya, almost all the acharyas translate as aparyaptam means immeasurable, because it is bigger. But, aparyaptam means also inadequate. लाइक इन हिंदी यू से ना, ये पानी अपर्याप्त है, और ये पानी ग्लास में आपने जो दिया है पर्याप्त है, इट इज सफिशिएंट. सो पर्याप्त इन कैन मीन इनएडिक्वेट और इनसफिशिएंट. इनसफिशिएंट, है ना, अपर्याप्तम. So our army protected by Bhishma is insufficient or inadequate, but their army, twa idam etesham balam, protected by Bhima. Bhima birakshitam is adequate, paryaptam. So Vishwanath Chakra Thakur actually, he goes into the heart of this verse because he is a Rasik Acharya, and he's giving a deeper meaning based on not on tattva, because from tattva perspective, aparyaptam is immeasurable, ours is measurable. That's what also I can show you Prabhupada how he translates this. You see, immeasurable, aparyaptam, and theirs is measurable, limited. Prabhupada is very precise, so it can mean unlimited and limited. So, because they have 11 Akshanishis, so externally they are more powerful. So, in one sense, Duryodhana is saying that our army is unlimited, whereas their army is limited. Our army is also unlimited, one thing, first, and it is protected by Bhishma, who is very expert in military warfare and he has got fine intelligence. Whereas their army is limited and it is protected by Bhima, who has gross intelligence, because Bhima was not a person who would, he was a Gada fighter, and he was not so much expert in bow and arrow, which is requires much finer intelligence to invoke mantras, to chant mantras and release weapons. So Bhima was not so much expert. He was a Gadadhar, he was a Gada fighter. So from the Tattva point of view, yes. But from the rasa point of view, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur takes a completely different stand, which none of the acharyas take. It is only Vishwanath Chakra Thakur who takes. Now, from the rasa point of view, actually, when the Pandavas were banished for 13 years of exile, and 1 year in incognito, every day Bhima's blood was boiling. When will the battle happen? So every day night he was practicing, and he was clenching his fist, both Bhima and Arjuna, and Yudhishthir being shant, he used to pacify them. So they had that real will to fight, you know, they had the will, the heart to fight. Whereas Bhishma and Drona actually did not have the heart to fight this battle because they had love for the Pandavas. So actually their heart was not there. So in terms of number, although they were more, the Kauravas, but in terms of the will to fight, sometimes even if the number is less, but the will to fight, if it is there, then you can win. So that's why Vishwanath Chakra Thakur, based on rasa, who had more rasa to fight? It was Bhima. And although the commander in chief is Bhishma on the side of Kauravas, and on the side of Pandavas it is Drishtadyumna, but here uh, Duryodhan takes the name of Bhima because he had especially fear towards Bhima, because if he knew that if anyone is going to kill me, it is Bhima. So I mentioned that his fears are being exhibited in these verses from 3 to 11. So that's why he takes the name of Bhima. You know, so there is just like we have in our Indian scripture the famous work which is Mahabharata. Similarly, in the Chinese history, there is one work which is very famous. It's called as the Chinese Mahabharata. For them, it is their Mahabharata, and it is pertaining to a history of their dynasty. Now, I don't remember the details. Many years back I read. I have to once again, read and get you the details. But I'm just telling the essence of the story. So there was one king who was ruling this China, and then the king left the world, and his son was very young, and he was supposed to be enthroned. But because he was young, there were three commander-in-chiefs, and they were, practically on behalf of the king ruling the entire kingdom of China. Now, what happened is there was one commander-chief who was very powerful, and he, picked up the king son because later on he wanted to enthrone him with that purpose only. And the other two commanders in chief, they waged many wars and battles with this first commander in chief. I don't know his name. He, almost every time defeated. And both these others together, there were other two commander chiefs, they were not able to defeat him. And many times they tried. At last, one time they came to know that this commander in chief is in a fort on a hill with a very small army of 1,000 soldiers. So, moment they got this news, they immediately got a huge army and they garroted the entire hill. They were in thousands and thousands, hundreds and thousands, maybe a lakh also. And now this commander in chief was inside in the fort. His soldiers and army heads told, we have been garroted by the enemy, two commanders, and they are in thousands. We just can't defeat them. We are only 1,000. So this commander in chief was very brave warrior. He had the heart to fight. So he said, don't worry, you just all inside relax and just, enjoy your party inside. Open all the gates of the fort. And, they were really perturbed. What is this? What is he ordering us? We'll be completely ransacked and ruthlessly murdered. No, just open the gates. So they opened the gates of the fort, and this commander in chief went on the top of the fort on the first gate, and this army was approaching. These other two army generals, with their huge army, were approaching now the fort, which is on the top of the hill. And this other single commander in chief, he just sat on the top and he started playing his violin. And inside, all his soldiers are enjoying. And now they were right in the front of the fort with this entire army. They were about to attack, and then both of them started discussing. Maybe they have hatched a plan. Otherwise, how the gates can be opened, and he's coolly playing his violin. And inside, they could hear the voices of all the party which the soldiers are. There is some plot they have hatched. So they decided, without giving a fight, they just retreated back and went back. And because he had the skill and the will to fight, he did not even have the skill but the will. He was fearless. And because of this strategy, without having a battle, this army left the place and then they easily escaped, you know. So this is the point that although the Kauravas were more in number, but the will to fight was more on the side of the Pandavas, the rasa to fight. So that's why Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, goes to the heart of this purport and translate this as, aparyaptam as inadequate or limited, or sorry, insufficient, and theirs is sufficient. That means they have more strength. So in one sense, please try to understand this because Duryodhana is also doing his Rajniti by speaking this. So when you take, aparyaptam is immeasurable, which is what uh, Prabhupada Baldev Deva should take. So our strength is immeasurable because it is protected by Bhishma. Then it conveys a message to Drona. Drona, don't think that if you don't put your heart in this battle, that I'll not win. Bhishma is there. Because of Bhishma will win. Better you also put your heart. Because I mentioned, Drona did not have the heart in this battle. And if aparyaptam is taken as, you know, inadequate or insufficient, then ultimately the message goes to, uh, Bhishma, you know, that Bhishma, you don't be lax, you know, you don't be lax and you also give up your affection, what you have for the Pandavas and fully participate. So in order to, he's using his Rajniti in order to motivate Bhishma, and he's also doing it to Drona also, right now directly to Drona, but indirectly now he's doing. So both these meanings, so both can be taken, these both meanings can be taken by Bhishma and Drona, and both, that's how through Rajniti he is doing it. I hope you are able to get this. Now, I will just stop here for asking questions based only on this verse. The rest of the verses we'll go quickly till verse 21. Verse 21 we will stop to, more understand it because it's a very Rasic commentary. So any questions you have about this or you did not understand, you can raise your hands. Any questions, any clarifications on this verse? Tukaram, Mishkin, Prabhuji, yes. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. It is not a question, or I should say it is just, I'm trying to understand it. Shall I take it as passion? Whereas Bhima and Arjuna had passion to fight, they were committed. They
Yeah,
were
passion,
committed.
but actually, if you see, it is more of a rasa, veer rasa.
On the contrary, Bhishma and Dronacharya
They did not
were,
have the heart to fight.
kind of indifferent, मेरे
Yeah.
जैसे अभी बुढ़ा हो गया ना मैं ऐसे
Not only that, because they loved the Pandavas firstly, and they were there on the side of Kauravas because whoever was the king,
compulsion.
uh, on behalf of that, they have to be there. Basically,
Mm.
you cannot say it as passion, but the Veera Rasa. The Veera Rasa was
Right,
more for them, you know.
right. So,
Yeah. So that
thank
is good. Yeah. Okay.
you.
Any other questions regarding this verse which we discussed? Any other questions? Any other clarifications you have? Okay. Then we will go to the next few verses are very simple. I'll just read them and we'll go ahead. Okay. Now, you know, hearing, that it is being addressed to Bhishma, you know, he knew that, only by Bhishma we can win this war. So now he says, and he adjusts again to all his army generals that, you should protect Bhishma because only by the strength of Bhishma we will win this war. So that's why he speaks this verse. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yata bhagam avastita bhishmamevaabhirakshantu bhavantah sarva eva hi. Situated in your positions for attack. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yatha bhagam avasthitam. As you're situated in your military arrangement, viewed rachana, you, Bhavanta, should protect Bhishma. Bhishma eva abhirakshantu on all sides. Sarva eva hi. So Bhishma might be busy in fighting the war and the enemy might come from backside and attack him. So you, yatha bhagam, ayaneshu charvesha yatha bhagam avasthitan. You should protect from backside Bhishma. Because Duryodhan knew that it is only by Bhishma's son we can win this war. Because Bhishma was undefeatable and he had a icha marana. Nobody could, kill him. You know, he was such a powerful warrior in the three worlds. Even his spiritual master Parshram could not defeat him. So that was the powerful nature of Bhishma. So he had full faith. So now he wanted that, ultimately a Bhishma should be protected Baba in order to win. So that was his political agenda. So he's using his Rajniti and, My goodness, Bhishma hearing these words, this verse, he says, oh my goodness, enough of politics. Throughout my life, I have tolerated this politics of the Kauravas. So Bhishma wanted to reply, but he doesn't reply. He replies by blowing his conch shell, which is the next verse. Tasya sanjanayan harsham guru vriddha pitamaha simmanadam vinodyache shankam dadmo pratapavan. Then the majestic elder Pratapavan Kuru Vriddha. Kuru Vriddha means the elderly, majestic Pratapavan among the Kurus, which is Bhishma, the grandfather Pitama, in order to bring joy to Duryodhana. Tasya Harsham Sanjayan, making the sound of lion. Simmanadam Vinadya, blew the conch loudly. Shankam Uche Dadmo. So he was indirectly trying to, motivate Bhishma through this verse, which we saw, Bhishma, he was trying to motivate, and Bhishma could understand the politics, and Bhishma did not reply. Don't worry, I will put my 100% efforts in this battle. Don't worry. But Bhishma being one of the great Mahajans, which is not so much coming forth in the Mahabharata, but as in the Bhagavatam, he knew that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and Krishna is on the side of Pandavas and they will be victorious. But I will put my 100%. And Bhishma put his 100%, frankly. So don't worry, I will fully participate. Just to, give that assurance to Duryodhan, he blew his conch shell, in order to give joy to Duryodhan, you know. And Bhishma's voice was like a lion, Simmanadam, Vinodyacha. And he blew the shank. So he had a voice of a lion, and the shank voice also came as a lion. So there is double lion effect. I hope you are able to understand this. So one of the sannyasis was telling me that in Africa, the tribes are trained in military warfare training. And after they are trained, they are tested. And what is the test? 10 of these people, these warriors, they have to go in the forest and garrow a lion. That means they should surround the lion and they should, fight with the lion, 10 of them. And then only they will pass. They will get the marshal certificate. Can you imagine that? So it is said, this is a true story, that once this group, of 10, came across a lion, so they garrowed it. And the lion, just seeing all these men around, it just turned its face and roared. And the roar of a lion is so, so powerful that it strikes the heart with like a thunderbolt, and so much fear it creates. Just hearing that roar, few of the warriors, they fell down, they collapsed. So you can imagine the roar of, voice of Bhishma. And those who have, watched the Mahabharata serial, you can see Bhishma's voice, the character who played it, his voice was very, very thunderous, like a thunderbolt, sound of a rumbling of the clouds. And then he's blowing his conch shell. So there was a double effect. Shanka Uchay. Shanka Uchay, it is mentioned, Dabno. So he blew his conch shell. So then what happened? The enthusiasm on the side of the Kauravas is shown. Tata Shankasya Bhairasya Panavanaka Gomuka Sahasaivaabhyanhanta Sasabdastumalo Bhavat. Then conches, kettle drums, small drums, and larger drums. So Shanka, Bhaire, Panava, and Gomukha were suddenly sounded. Sahasa eva abhanyanta, making a tumultuous roar. Sa Shabda Tumulo Bhavat. So these all instruments are played in the battle because, to keep the soldiers awake, and maintain the enthusiasm of the soldiers, because all around there is blood, there is death, you can go in depression. That's why sound has a very powerful effect on the mind. And that's why, these spiritual sounds like the Om, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, And these different ragas, especially when you're working, in today's environment, we work in a very stressful environment, especially those who are in the IT field. Actually, in the background, if you're playing some ragas, that keeps you, you know, it keeps you, steady. In fact, when even I work on my PPTs, I just always, uh, play these background tunes, ragas or the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with background tunes. So, to keep the enthusiasm of the fighters, there are all these soldiers, specific soldiers who play these conch, kettle drums, small drums, larger drums. And the rule in Kshatriya warfare is that they cannot be killed. You know, they are participating in the battle, but they cannot be killed. And there was a tumultuous sound, tumulo. In Sanskrit it is tumulo, in English it is tumultuous. Very similar, you can see. And in the first verse we saw, Yuyutsava. Yuyutsava means to fight. Japanese, language has this Yuyutsava. In Japanese, the word is there, Yutsa. Yutsa means there also to fight. So all the languages of the world are coming from Sanskrit. Hmm. So that completes the first section. Now let's go to the second section. Now, if you have any questions as I'm discussing, you can raise your hands. You're free to raise hands. Now the signs of victory are there. Now the enthusiasm of the Pandavas is shown in this verse. Tata shveter haye yukte mahati sandane sthito madava pandavaschaiva divyo shanka pradapmutu. Then Krishna and Arjuna. Tata Madhava Pandava. Madhava is mentioned, the goddess of fortune. So wherever there is goddess of fortune, there is victory. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanudhara. You know? So that's why Krishna is addressed as Madhava, the husband of the goddess of fortune. Standing in a large chariot, Mahati Sandane Stito. Stito means standing. Sandane is, the chariot, and Mahati means the large or huge chariot. Yoked with white horses. Shveter Hayer Yukte. Yukte means yoked, from where yoga comes. And Shvete means the white. And Haye is horses. So there are white horses. Blew their divine conch shells. Divyo Shanko. So Acharyas explain that Divya refers to, their Shanka is not referred to Divya, the Kauravas. So this is one sign of victory. The second sign is that wherever there is Madhav, there is always victory. So these two are the signs of victory in this verse. Now others, they blew their conch shell, and who are those who blew the conch shell? 15, 16 verses explain. Panchajanyam Rishikaisho Devadattam Dhananjaya Paundram Dabno Mahashankam Bhimakarma Vrikodara Ananta Vijayam Raja Kuntiputro Yudhishthira Nakula Sahadevascha Sugosha Manipushpako. So Krishna blew his conch shell, which is Panchajanya. It is his eternal conch shell, but through the pastime in Dwarka, Krishna got this conch shell, but it is always eternally with him. And Dhananjay blew his conch shell, Devadatta. Poundram Dabno Mahashankam. And Bhima had a big conch shell because he was huge, and it is Poundram, you know, great conch, and it is Mahashankam. He had a very huge conch, Poundram. And why? Because he was Vrikodara. And of course, Vishwanath Thakur doesn't explain, but Prabhupada explains that all these names of the Lord and his devotees are based on their activities. Rishikesh is the controller of the senses. Dhananjay is one who got wealth for Yudhishthira Maharaj to perform the yagya. And Bhima was a voracious eater. He was a voracious eater. And not only that, he used to eat voraciously, he was not lazy and he used to sleep. No, he used to also fight. He had that strength. He had the strength of 10,000 elephants. Can you imagine? So that's why, based on their activities, their names are mentioned here: Rishikesha, Dhananjaya, and Vrikodara. And then Ananta Vijayam Raja, Kuntiputro Yudhishthira, Nakula Sahadevasya, Sugosho Manipushpako. So Kuntiputra Yudhishthir, he blew his conch shell, which is called as Ananta Vijaya. And he is addressed as Raja. And again, he is not a king now. Only after defeating the Kauravas, he'll become the king. But because he did the Rajasuya Yagya, that's why he's addressed as Raja. And Nakul and Sahadev blew their conch shell, Sugosha and Mani Pushpaka. Nakul and Sahadev blew their conches, Sugosha and Mani Pushpaka. Okay. काशश्च परमेश्वाश शिखण्डी च महारथा दृष्टधुम्नो विराटश्च सातकिश्चापराजित ध्रुपदो द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्वश्च पृथ्वीपते सौभद्रश्च महाभावो शङ्कान् दब्नु पृथक् पृथक्. Now, the king of Kashi, Kashishcha Parameshwash. Parama Isha Asha. Ishu means, arrows, and the bow, So the king of Kashi was a great archer. So he's glorified as Parameshasha. Shikandi would be the cause of killing of, Bhishma. He's a Maharatha, please remember. Drushtadumna Virata, and Sataki, who could not be defeated. Sataki cha aparajita. So this cha aparajita, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur mentions cha and aparajita. So cha and aparajita means he's unconquerable. Unconquerable. And Sanskrit, the combination can be, differently done and different meanings can come. So this can refer to also cha aparajita. Chap. Sorry, not cha. Chap. Chap. This combines as chapa and rajita. Means chapa means bow, He was decorated with the bow, like that. And then Drupada and sons of Draupadi. Drupada, Draupadeyascha, Sarvasha. And the mighty arm Abhimanyu. Subhadrascha Mahabhavu. So you can imagine Subhadra's son was just 16 or 17 years old and he was a great warrior. He was a Maharatha. Blew their conch shells one after the other. In fact, to kill this one 16-year-old boy, there were 6 great Maharathis who had to surround and ultimately kill him. So in this verse, in fact, it is mentioned by the Acharyas, except the Pandavas, and only in this Sataki, because Sataki was unconquerable. Sataki was unconquerable. All of them died in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The entire Kaurava army, entire Pandava army, except the Pandavas and Sataki and Krishna. Only they survived. Can you imagine what must be a battle, And then what happened? They blew their conch shells. And what is the effect of their conch shells? It is mentioned in 19th verse. Sagoshodata Rashtranam Hridayani Vyadarayat Nabascha Prithvim Chaiva Tumalo Ab Anunadayan. That tumultuous sound, Tumala Ghosha. Ghosha means the sound. Tumultuous, again it has come, Tumala. Filling the sky and earth. Nabascha Prithvim Cha. Prithvi means earth, Naba is the sky. Abhyanu Dayan, that was, that sound resounded, like an echo. Split the hearts of Dhritarashtra's sons. Dhritarashtra and Hridayani Vidharayat, because their heart started palpitating in fear. So this is also another sign, that when Kauravas blew their conch shell, there was no such effect. But when Pandavas blew their conch shell, there was a fear. In fact, somebody who's a thief, when he's caught, in his heart, he knows that he has committed theft. So there is palpitation. So they knew that the Kauravas were, unrighteous. And that's why the effect of the conch shell was having this kind of effect was there on them. Okay, now the next section is from 21 to 26, Krishna as Bhakta Vatsal. So in this only one verse is very important, which I'll discuss in detail. Rest verses are very simple. Okay, we are going to go through all the verses from 20 to 23. अत व्यवस्थितान् दृष्ट्वा धातराष्ट्रान् कपिध्वज प्रवृत्ते शस्त्र संपाते धनुर्युद्धम पांडव. Now, Vishwanath Chandra Thakur takes all these verses together, but Prabhupada and Baldev Vidyabhushan take it separately. But since we are studying Vishwanath Chandra Thakur commentary, I'll stick to only his explanation. But I will go through each of the verses so that you all can understand. Ata vyavastitan drishtva. Let us see. Seeing the sons of Dhritarashtra standing there. Now, you have to understand, you have to visualize that Arjuna side, the Pandava side, they have blown their conch shells. The war is about to begin. And Arjuna has taken his bow and arrow and is now aiming on the side of Pandavas, the side of Kauravas. So, Ata Vyavastitan Drishtva, Dhatarashtran Drishtva, seeing the sons of Dhritarashtra standing, taking his bow in hand, Dhanur Yuddhama, he took his bow in hand, and then Pravritte Shastra Sampate, Pravritte Shastra Sampate, as the army is prepared to fight. Now he is, taking his bow and arrow, about to shoot. Seeing that the opponent army also, they clench their fist and they are ready now to fight, And what is happening? Kapidwaja. Kapidwaja is, the, Hanuman, So every warrior had a particular flag, and you could recognize that warrior by the flag he is having. So Arjuna's chariot had the flag of Hanuman. He had the flag of Hanuman. Just like today's world, every country has a particular flag, and now we all know because of this Iran-US war, from the Strait of Hormuz, the ships are moving and there is a lot of tension going on. So the ships also, having their country flags. India is having that India flag and they're mentioning, so that, the pass is given so that the, enemy soldiers or they won't attack. So they could recognize a chariot, whose chariot it is based on the flag. So, Arjuna had this Kapidwaja because Hanuman had promised, the pastime is in the Mahabharata, I'll not go into it, that I will participate in the war and, along with Bhima's roar, I'll also roar. He was present on that flag, please remember. And when Hanuman is to roar, all the Kaurava soldiers, where is this voice coming from? And they used to get so scared, and that hearing the voice only, they used to collapse and die. So that is what Kapidwaja. And then Rishikesham tada vakyam idam aha mahipate senayor ubayor madde ratam stapayam me chuta. Actually, here Arjuna watches there. Arjuna is about to shoot arrows, but the Lord, by his arrangement, although Arjuna is an eternal associate in Yoga Maya, puts him in Maya, and now Arjuna speaks to Rishikesh. Rishikesham tada vakyam. Idam aha mahipate. O mahipate. Now Sanjay is addressing Dhritarashtra as mahipate. And what is Arjuna saying? Senayor ubayor madde. Ratam sthapayame achyuta. Achyuta, oh Achyut, please place my chariot in between the two armies. This is what he says. And then, Yavadetan niriksheham yuddha kaman avastitan kairmaya sayodhavyam asmin rana samudyame. I want to niriksha. I want to observe. Aham and Arjuna is saying, I want to do niriksha. And that's why I mentioned 1 to 26 is sane in niriksha yoga. Yuddha kaman avastitan. Who are these who have come with the desire to fight on the side of Kauravas? Kair Mayasa Yodhavyam. Who are these relatives against whom I have to fight? Because both sides are relatives. On the sides of Pandav also there are relatives, on the side of Kauravas also. All, it's a family war, Asmin Rana Samudyame, in this battle, whom? And then he says, Yotsamana Naveksheham Ye Yah Ete Atra Samagata Dhatarashtrasya durbuddhir yuddhe priya chikirshava. I want to also aveksha yotsamanam aveksham. I want to see who are all these assembled who have come to please the evil-minded Dhatarashtra. Dhatarashtra means the son of Dhritarashtra. That is the sons of Dhritarashtra headed by Duryodhana. Yuddhe Priya Chikirshava, who have this desire to fight. I want to see them. That's what he says. Okay, so I'm just reading now the translation. O King Mahipate, that is Sanjay addressing Dhritarashtra. Then, Ata, as the army is prepared to fight, Pravritte Shastra Sampade, Arjuna with Hanuman's insignia on his flag. That is the symbol. Pandava Kapidvaja, seeing the sons of Dhritarashtra standing there, Vyavastitan Dhatarashtra and Drishtva, taking his bow in hand, Dhanur Yuddhama, spoke to Rishikesh. Tada Rishikasham idam vakya aha. What he spoke? Oh Achyuta, Achyuta, please station my chariot, me ratam stapayam, between the two armies, Senayor Ubar Madhe, so that I can view Yavad Eta Nirikshyaham at the commencement of the war. Asmin Rana Samudyame, those situated with the desire to fight, Yuddha Kama Navasitam, and those with whom I should fight, Kar Maya Saha Yuddhavyam. I see that Aham Avekshe, I see means I see intellectually, those who have gathered here, Yah ete attar samagata, desiring to please the foolish sons of Dhritarashtra, Durbuddhe Dhatarashtrasya Priya Chikisha, are intent on fighting Yuddha Yotsamanam. So here Arjuna's compassion also comes that these foolish sons of Dhritarashtra, they are going to be killed. And all these army and the army generals who are on his side, they have come to please him. Ultimately, they will all be killed. So he was feeling compassion and he addresses Krishna as Achyuta because Krishna has taken the position of a chariot driver. So Krishna is infallible. That means he doesn't, become inferior or he doesn't, fall from his position. His position is that he's always the supreme personality of Godhead. And that's why he's called as Achyuta. But out of his love for his devotee, he has taken up this role. And although he has taken up this role, he still remains infallible. He still remains superior. He remains Achyuta. His position, he doesn't fall from his position. So he is the absolute truth. But out of rasa, he has taken up this position, out of his friendship and love for Arjuna. Just like sometimes the father is superior to the son, and the father is very rich. He's a millionaire owning multiple factories. And when the father comes home, the son tells father, father, become a horse. And then he climbs on the father and he starts, instructing, take me here, take me there. And the father just follows the dictation, but it is out of love and affection. So similarly, the Lord, out of his love and affection, has taken this position of a chariot driver, but his position is always that he's the supreme personality of Godhead. So that's also the deeper meaning of why Arjuna is addressing Krishna as Achyuta. Okay. Now Sanjay narrates what happened. When Arjuna spoke, Krishna, Krishna took the chariot in between the two armies. Now Sanjay is giving an aerial view, from the sky, just like nowadays with this, what is this drone technology, you can take the camera up and from the sky, and Sanjay is seeing in his divine vision, sitting in Hastinapur, he's seeing from the aerial vision that, we have seen that picture of the Bhagavad Gita, where the chariot is moving in between both the armies. Now, I will show that so that you can, because something very interesting is coming, in this now. Okay, let me see. I don't like to use the internet. It's a distraction. Let me see if I have these pictures already. I think I definitely have it. Pictures, yes. Okay, I will just give me a minute, please. Let me see whether I have that picture. Yes. Let me pick out that picture. It's a very, very beautiful picture. It's yes. Uh, it's a aerial view of the battlefield. Just give me a minute, please. You all don't get distracted and lose focus as I'm searching for this picture. I'm doing it so that you get a clear understanding. The next verse is one of the most important verses, commentary which Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is writing. So I'm just yeah, let me see. Hmm. Mhm. Yes, there is one picture, but I'm looking for a better one. Uh, Actually, I wanted from the sky, the aerial view is much, much better. No, I'm not able to get. So I'll show you which is very close to it. That's, yeah, yes. Okay. So I'm sharing the screen. Please, we are going to discuss the next verse, which is the most important verse and a Rasik commentary written by Vishnu. So this is that view. And actually from the sky from top, you know, this view is there actually. This is not from the sky top, but it is from the front view, you can say. But there's another picture from the sky top, where the chariot is moving in between the two armies. So this is what is happening, and Sanjay is now narrating this now. एवमुक्तो ऋषिकेशो गुडाकेशेन भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये स्थापित्वा रथोत्तमा भीष्मद्रोणप्रमुखतः सर्वेषां च महीक्षिताम् उवाच पार्थ पश्येतान् समवेतान् कुरुनिति. When Arjuna spoke to him thus, evam Gudakesha ukta. When Gudakesha, Arjuna spoke to Rishikesham, stationing the best of the chariots, Ratha Uttama Stapitva. And where he placed it? Between the two armies. So you can see in the picture between the two armies, he's placing the chariot. Between the two armies, he's placing it. You know? And all the princes, Sarvesham cha Mahikshitam, spoke, iti vacha. See the Kurus gathered here. Partha Pasha Etan Samavetan Kuru. So Krishna also speaks in the first chapter. Not that he speaks only in the second chapter from 2.2. Here, the fourth line in the second verse, the third line, in fact, third and fourth line, he speaks. And he places in front of all the princes, but especially in the front of Bhishma and Drona, because Arjuna had affection for Bhishma and Drona, and Arjuna is going to be put in illusion. And Krishna puts him in illusion by just saying Pasha, just see. This is see Maya. So seeing puts us in illusion, hearing takes us out of illusion. That's why one should, even one is blind, still one person is illusioned. But hearing the transcendental message, he can transcend illusion. So that's the point. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions Gudakesha. Guda and Akesha. A means, uh, uh, Vishnu. Ka means Shiva, Brahma, and Isha is Shiva. So this is how it is, it is coming from Sanskrit roots. We need not worry about it. And guda means to give sweetness or jaggery. Jaggery is called as gud in Hindi also. So by seeing this scene, that how Krishna, out of his love and affection for Arjuna, is driving the chariot in between and is following the orders of Arjuna. And Krishna is doing this out of prema because he has prema for Arjuna. And Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu, who are Guna avatars, they are called as Trimurti, they are out in the sky and they are observing this and they are wondering, my goodness, our master Krishna, whose orders we follow, and, and we just follow his orders because we are controlled and regulated by him. But that same our master is now controlled by Arjuna's words, out of prema, he has become his servant. So, what is the love what Arjuna possesses for Krishna? Even we don't have that love. So, they are relishing rasa, which is compared to Guda. And that's why that is the name, Arjuna is addressed as Gudakesha. This is from the rasa point. From the tattva point, Arjuna, because he was constantly in relationship with Krishna, he was free from ignorance. And sleep is compared to ignorance. So only when, you are in Jagrit Avastha, Swapna Avastha, Shushupti Avastha, all these traits you should be always able to remember Krishna. Then you're completely free from ignorance. So that is what we should understand from this. Now, Pashya. So, seeing now, he falls in illusion. Tatra Pashyat Sitan Partha Pitrinata Pitamahan Acharya Matulan Bratran Putran Prautran Sakin Sata Shashuram Suridaschaiva Senayorubayorapi. Arjuna saw standing there Tatra Apashat Sitan, fathers, grandfathers, Pitrin Ata Pitamahan, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, Acharyan, Matulan, Bratran, sons, grandsons, and friends, Putran Pautran Sakim Sata. Remember, Arjuna was almost, it's at the end. Krishna was almost 125 years old. So Arjuna had grandsons also. Father-in-laws and well-wishers. Shvashuran, Suradashcheva on both sides. Senor Oberapi. Now seeing this, he becomes overwhelmed by compassion. And Arjuna starts lamenting. This is the Arjuna Vishada Yoga, which will begin from 27 to 46. So now, up till now, if you have any questions, you can raise your hands. Any questions, any clarifications? It's around 8:15. Maybe another 10-15 minutes I can take. I'll finish another section. I thought I'll finish today, but I did not want to leave the Vishnu Chakataku's Rasika explanation on some of the verses. So any questions you have up till now? Any questions, any clarifications? No. Okay. So then let's see whether one or two sections we can finish. It's very simple from here. So Arjuna is put into illusion, and illusion means lamentation, shoka and moha. Because of moha, we go into shoka. So Arjuna becomes completely engulfed in bodily concept, and he starts identifying himself with body and all the bodily expansions, all his relatives, and he starts showing material compassion. And this is first of the grounds why he doesn't want to fight. Then, enjoyment. If all are killed, then with whom I'll enjoy this kingdom? Then his fear is of sinful reactions. If I kill all my relatives, sin, I'll be committing sin. And then, most important, destruction of family traditions. So, four reasons are given in this chapter. One will be given up in his indecision will come up in the second chapter. So, let's go to this. तान् समीक्ष्य स कौन्तेयः सर्वान् बन्धून् अवस्थितान् कृपया परयाविष्टो विषीदन् idam अब्रवीत्. The son of Kunti, Sir Kaunteya, seeing all the relatives situated there. Tatra avasthitan sarvan bandhun samiksha. Iksha means to see. Samiksha means to perfectly see. Overcome with one's compassion. Kripaya. Compassion means kripa. But paraya vishto. This compassion is not transcendental. It's not spiritual compassion, transcendental. But it is material compassion. Para means he became overwhelmed with compassion. So it's not para. Para means transcendental. He became overwhelmed with compassion and depressed, vishidam, lamentation, depression, And depression is one of the biggest problems today world is facing because of bodily concept of life. Spoke as follows, idam abravit. What did he speak? The first reason is compassion. Dvishtemam swajanam Krishna yutsam samupastitam sidanti mama gatrani mukam cha parishishyate bhepatuscha sharire me romaharshasya jayate ghandivam samsrate hastat tvakchaiva paridayyate. O Krishna, seeing all my relatives and friends, drushtva imam swajanam. So he is, swajana, my body, my bodily expansions. Actually, everyone is, the jana of Krishna, because everyone is family of Krishna. But seeing, no, this is my family, that is bodily concept. Gathered to fight, yuyutsam, samupastitam, my limbs are weakening, siddhanti mama gatarani, my mouth is drying up, mukam cha parishishate, my body is trembling, vepachusya sharime, and my hairs are standing on end, roma harshasya jayate. My bow is falling from my hand, gandivam samsrate hastat, and my skin is burning. So, when the heart is burning because of uh, material emotions, I can say, now all that manifest in the body, when you have fear, your limbs might be trembling, your mouth might get dry, and the body might tremble, when you have fear, hair might stand out of end. So all these happen in when one is deeply absorbed in the bodily consciousness, and these symptoms can also be exhibited on the spiritual platform, which is called as Ashtasattvic Vikar. You know, I mentioned, Vibhava, Anubhava, Satviki Bhava. So on the transcendent, the soul experiences spiritual emotions, and these emotions ultimately manifest in the subtle body through the mind and in the gross body. But here the symptoms are because of material consciousness, bodily consciousness, we should understand. And now he says, Na cha shaknomi avastatim brahmativa me cha mana nimiktani pashyani viparitani keshava. I cannot stay fixed. Na me avastatum shaknomi. Shaknomi means I cannot. Fixed, avastatum. And my mind seems to whirl about. Brahmati eva cha mana. My mind is, reeling. I see contrary results in this battle. Viparitani nimiktani pashyami. O Keshava. So everyone in this material world, comes with a particular material motive. So I see that I have come to, you know, uh, results of winning this war. But I see if I win, I'm going to lose because ultimately all my relatives will be killed. So I see viparitani, nimiktani cha pashyami, like that. Now the second reason, Arjuna's lamentation, second reason is not to fight as enjoyment. Because ultimately, whom I'll enjoy with. If all these relatives are killed, whom I'll enjoy the opulence and whom I'll show the opulence. So he gives the second reason here. Na cha shreyani pashyami hatva sajanamahave na kangshe vijam krishna na cha rajam sukani cha. I do not see any good result. Na cha shre anupashyami. Pashyami means to see, but here intellectually to see. Shreya means any good result after killing my own people in war. Hatva swajanam ahave. Hatva means to kill. Swajanam. I do not desire victory. Na kangshe vijayam, kingdom or happiness. Na cha rajam sukhanicha. Krishna might tell, if you don't participate in this battle, and if you don't get victory, then you'll not kingdom and you'll not get happiness. So he says, I don't want victory, I don't want kingdom, I don't want happiness, which is not the nature of a Kshatriya. Kshatriya needs a kingdom to rule, you know. So he has become so detached and renounced, and this renunciation is, again artificially born out of, material compassion, So he says, I don't want kingdom. Now he is giving the reason. Kim no rajena govinda, kim bhogera jivitena va, esham arte kangshinam no, rajam bhoga sukani cha. त इमे व्यवस्थिता युद्धे प्राणान् त्यक्त्वा धनानि च आचार्य पितरः पौत्र पुत्रास्तथैव च पितामहः मातुलः श्वशुराः पौत्रा शाल्या सम्बन्धिनस्तथा एतान् न हन्तुमिच्छामि गतोऽपि मधुसूदन अपि त्रैलोक्यराजस्य हेतु किं नु महि कृते निहत्य धातराष्ट्रान्न का प्रीति स्वजनार्दन. He's saying, Kim no Rajena Govinda. What is the use of kingdom? Kim Bhoger Jivitena. What is the use of living also and enjoying this kingdom when all these relatives are killed? And what is the use of Raja Bhoga and Sukha happiness? When all these, Te Ime Vyavastita Yuddhe, they are standing in front and they are ready to give their lives. Pranam Tektvan Dhananjaya and Dhananicha. And who are they? Acharya, Pitra, Prautra, Pitama, Matula, Shashura, Pautra, Shala, Sambandhin is all. And I don't desire to kill them, O Madhusudana. Etam na hantum ichami gatopi. I don't desire to kill them, O Madhusudana. If you want, you kill them. I don't want to kill them. And what to speak of Earth? Even if you give me the sovereignty over the three planets, Api Trailokya Rajasya. What to speak of this Mahikrite Earth? I don't want to kill, even if Nihatya Dhatarashtrana, if I am unarmed and with arms, the sons of Dhritarashtra kill me, I am ready to die, but I am ready to sacrifice my life, So we all, whether we know or no, or whether we have experience, and I have heard it that, sometimes elders or parents, they sacrifice their life for working very hard for the children and education, and at last, the children don't take care of their parents, and they're rejected in old age, you know. So, and they sacrifice, all this, and ultimately what the result they get is nothing. So, Arjuna is ready to sacrifice his life and not want the kingdom and let me be killed, but I'll not kill my relatives. Na ka priti swa janardana. They are my swajana. And you are Janardana. Janardana means you are the maintainer of people. And Janardana has also another meaning, the killer of Jana. So if you want, you kill them. But I will not kill them. So that's the point he's trying to make. I will not kill them. You want, you kill them. What is the use of kingdom? Kim no rajena. Enjoyment or even living. Kim bhoger jivitenva. Those for whom we desire. Esham arte na kangshita. In fact, why you want to win the kingdom so that you can be with your relatives and you can enjoy with them. Kingdom, enjoyment, and happiness. Raja Bokaskanicha, teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, father in laws, grandsons, brother in law, and relatives are standing on the battlefield, risking their lives and wealth. Pranam tektan dhananjaya. I do not desire to kill them. Etamna hantum ichami. Even if I were to be killed by them, Gatopi, O Madhusudana, even for sovereignty over the three worlds, what to speak of this earth, O Janardana, what happiness we will achieve by having killed the sons of Dhritarashtra. So enjoyment is another reason he gives. Now the third reason is fear of sinful reactions. Now it's almost 8:30. I will not, continue now. I will just take a break so that if you have any questions, I can take up. And tomorrow we will complete the last few verses and then start with the second chapter. So, any questions, any clarifications you have? Any questions, any clarifications up till now? The last two sections within 5-10 minutes will finish tomorrow and start. Anyway, the fifth reason is coming in the second chapter. So, we will take up that. Any questions you have up till now? No. So, then we will stop here. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। हरे कृष्णा।